What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Lineman Life Live. We are here today. I got a special guest. I know I told you guys about this last week. I told you that he was coming. And today we have 2017 WWE Hall of Fame inductee, World Wrestling, WCW Heavyweight World Wrestling Champion, Diamond Dallas Page, on here today with us. Dallas, man, how you doing?
Baby, I am unstoppable.
Unstoppable. I love it.
Unstoppable.
So, yeah, man, it's great to have you on. And, obviously you have a legendary career to speak of when it comes to the world of wrestling entertainment. And, your story, the story that really was, to me, was so awesome to kind of to see and to kind of live through that time, because I was growing up in the 90s, and WCW, WWF, those were like the Saturday morning, the Saturday morning desserts for me. I'd watch my early cartoons, and then I'd start seeing the new episodes for WWF, WCW, and you, Randy Savage, Hulk Hogan, you guys were all in that era of just these mega stars, these icons, these guys who were bigger than life, it felt like, in the wrestling world. And for me, being able to kind of, as an adult, appreciate the story behind somebody like yourself, the proverbial underdog story, a guy who started late and, was like a shooting star, like just the brightest light in your time in world wrestling. And, just kind of wanted to ask you a little bit about, how did it feel being inducted into the Hall of Fame with WWE? Obviously they bought WCW, what, 2000, 99, 2000, something like that?
Yeah, 2000, it was 2001. 2001 they bought it. And, I didn't know. I knew that, that it wasn't, a thing to put WCW guys in yet. But since he bought it and owned the federation and the network, the WWE network that was out, I knew at some point he was going to have to start putting this in. And because, we were beating them. Like, my career, I didn't start wrestling until I was 35 and a half. My career did not explode until I was 40 and a half. It was actually a little longer than that. I turned 40 in April of 2000. I turned 40 in April of 1996, and my career started to take off when I beat Eddie Guerrero at Halloween Havoc. And then I started this thing with Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, who were the Outsiders, the NWO. By this time, we are going back and forth. One Monday night, WWF would, now WWE would win the Monday Night Wars. The next week, maybe the next 2 weeks, we would win. Then they would win, then we would win. But by the time my career blew up in 97, we won 83 weeks in a row.
Wow.
So we stopped them a lot of times too. And they had to put us in just for that, and I was, me and Goldberg were the only two stars that WCW ever really made, so it was like, I tell everybody, I tried wrestling when I was 23. It didn't work out for me. I had 3 matches. I sucked. I started back in again in 1998, and I thought I was too old at 31 to be a wrestler. So I figured out how to become a manager, which, if I knew how hard that was, I probably wouldn't even have tried, because it would be like a billion to one that an outsider could come in and end up managing future, Hall of Famers and future world champions. And, but I pulled it off, and I created relationships. I tell everybody, a lot of people think it's all about who you know and who knows you, when the reality is it's all about who's willing to say they know you, who's willing to pick up the phone and make a call for you and put your name out there on their name. And And in answer to your opening question, what did it feel like going in the Hall of Fame in 2017? It was the greatest moment of my professional career because I got to thank all of the people who helped me live the dream. And it was a 27-minute speech. And the only voice in my head, I wrote a book called Positively Unstoppable, The Art of Owning It. And it is that 6-inch piece of real estate in between your ears. It is that story you tell yourself. You know, it is the life you live in your brain. And the only story I was telling myself getting ready to walk on that stage and that entire day was, this is going to be the greatest thing I've ever done in professional wrestling. I'm going to blow everyone away. I want to make them laugh. I want to make them cry. I'm going to inspire them. And that's, I went out there and it was the best thing I've ever done.
Man, that's huge. Cause I mean, that's the crowning achievement, right? Like that is your magnum opus, so to say. Like this is everything that you've worked for. And, you know, I watched the kind of the when Triple H gave you the call.
That was cool.
And, you know, it hit you emotionally because, I mean, it was really unexpected. Like it wasn't something that you were necessarily ready for in that moment.
Yeah,
but, you know.
Yeah, they were filming my my documentary, Living, what do they call it? Positively Living, they called it. And I was in my hometown at one of my corner bars that the girl that was one of my best friends in high school owned. And we were talking about the bar business, and you know, because I grew up in the bar business. And here I am outside my buddy Linda's bar. It's beautiful sunset, and we're getting ready to film the last thing. I've been filming, you know, for the last 2 days.
Yeah.
And they go, "Hey, boss wants to talk to you." And I pick up the phone, and it's Triple H. And he's like, "Hey, D." I'm like, "Hi, Mo. How are you? How you doing, man?" And we start talking, and just, you know, catching up talk. And then he says something about, you know, "Man, no one did it like you did it, bro." You know, like and then he was there. He was there at the power plant when I first went down there because they wouldn't let me manage, you know, guys anymore because, you know, I look like this guy.
Yeah. You had them Goldilocks.
Yeah, and the bling. And, you know, I drove a
pink
Cadillac.
Yeah.
And I had the, you know, the diamond dolls and the bling and the rap, and, you know, and basically they wouldn't let me manage anymore because they said because of all these things that I was taking too much away from the wrestler. And it was Magnum TA who had pulled me over, and he said that to me, and I was like, "Magnum, are you telling me I'm too over the top for professional wrestling?" You know,
like this is what it's all about.
Yeah, and he said, "It's not your fault." He said, "It's really not your fault, Diamond." He said, "What we should have done was put a pair of tights and boots on you and see if you could do this." Now, again, I have 7 months left on my contract at the time, so they have to pay me. And I thought, I never got in this business because I wanted to be a wrestler. I mean, a manager or a color commentator. Yeah. I got in it because I wanted to be one of the boys. I wanted to be in the ring. I wanted to be living the dream. And Michael P.S. Hayes and Jimmy Jam Garvin. Now, those are two of the guys I was managing besides Scott Hall, who was at that time was a Diamond Stud. And that exact character went to the WWF and became Razor Ramon. But that character started in WCW, and I created it from the look to the, you know, his entire look, changing his look. But the point is that P.S. Hayes, who was one of the greatest talkers, him and Jimmy Jam Garvin, two of the greatest talkers, workers in the business. They started at 17 years old, both of them. And they ribbed me. They would have fun with me. I love those guys. They're like brothers to me. And they would just bust my chops and have fun with me. But that day when they heard I wasn't managing them anymore, they felt really bad because they knew that this dream, you know, I was still doing color commentating, but the next guy to retire that could talk, I was gone, you know, and they felt bad for me. And and they were so empathetic. And man, sorry to hear about it. I'm waiting at the curtain because I'm about to walk them out to manage them for one last match.
Yeah.
And I looked at them, they were so empathetic to me. And I looked at them and I said, hey guys, don't feel bad for me. I said, I appreciate it. I really do. I said, I got 7 months left of my contract. I'm going to go down that power plant and I'm going to learn how to wrestle. And Uche, they looked at each other and they started laughing so hard that Michael P.S. Hayes fell down on the ground laughing, because those guys have been in business since they were 17, and they know how long it took them to get to a spot where they could
just
draw
get
money.
where they at. Yeah.
Right. You know, and they know it takes years to get it. And that's why you see so many guys look great and they come in, they get this big push, and then they're gone.
Yeah,
well, they couldn't put it all together. They didn't get it. And I gave them both the "you're number one" sign and walked to the ring. And here's one of the greatest moments ever. In 1996, and I still was at the middle of the card, but I wrestled Sting on Nitro. And we had a hell of a match. Stinger, he liked me and he gave me a lot. He let me lay everything out. And it was a hell of a match. But I didn't really think anything of it. You know, I went back home after Monday Nitro. I was home on Tuesday. I ran to the house because I got to go to the gym and go to the chiropractor. And I ran inside. I heard the phone ringing, but I just let it go to the voice machine. And as I was about to walk out the door, I hear P.S. Hayes going, "Hey, P.S. Listen, kid." And I ran over and I pick up the phone. "Mike, hey, bro." 'Cause I hadn't talked to him probably in about 2 years. I go, "How you doing, man?" He's like, "God damn, some bitch mother." I'm like, Mike, you okay?" He's like, "Paige, you know, sometimes you don't want someone to answer the phone. You want to just leave a damn message."
Yeah, I know how that feels.
I said, yeah. I go, "Do you want me to hang up so you can call back and leave a message?" "No, son of a bitch, you're on here now." And all right, this is what I call. "Seen your match last night." He said, "And I gotta be honest with you, we all seen it up here," because he was one of the top writers and still is today for the WWE. He says, "We all seen it." He said, "Paige," he said, "I'm going to be honest with you. I have never been so happy to eat crow in all my life." He said, "Man, you killed it. Great job." Click. And he hung up on me.
You didn't even realize how much clout that match got you.
It did.
It proved a lot of people wrong. And you know, and for the people like that who were gracious enough, they were actually happy to be proven wrong.
Yes,
and
you know, beautiful moment, man. Beautiful moment.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit, because I feel like there's so many small similarities. Tell me a little bit about that locker room atmosphere for you guys. I know that behind the scenes there's kind of a close knitness that probably develops over the years with guys, and you see guys come and go. You know, it's in the football locker room, you got a nucleus of 25, 30 guys, and then you see other guys just come and go. And it just really, it's, there's two sides of the industry, the players that you bond with and become brothers with, and then the guys who you see kind of that harshness of the business, where you see guys who you think have potential, you see guys who you think have skills, but, in 48 hours, in 1 week, in 3 days, they're gone. And there's another guy that comes in just to kind of fill in their space. How is that dynamic in regards to wrestling? Because I mean, I remember growing, as a kid watching it. You see those guys who were like the practice squad guys who get picked up and they're in there for a match or two, and then you never see them again. Guys that are just kind of filler guys for the bigger acts to kind of get their warm ups in with, get a quick match on Saturday. and then during a pay-per-view event, you guys are going against obviously going against the stars against stars, but
right.
How is that dynamic like throughout? Did the business evolve any? Did it become did you start to find more like stars in these young guys who wouldn't necessarily be taken seriously? Because I mean, again, look at you. Like there were guys who didn't take you seriously, but you ended up being probably the biggest star in the WCW at the height of its popularity. I mean, Spring Stampede. I mean, that's a legendary match right there, where it's got you, Hulk Hogan, Randy Savage is the ref. Sting. I mean, that's when you got the WCW championship. You know what I mean? Ric Flair. I mean, come on, woo.
Yeah, it's funny because in the business, there's categories. There's the guys who are coming in and they're just trying to be seen. They're going to do whatever they need to do. A lot of them love the business and their work is good, but their body, they haven't put the work into the body, or maybe they have the body and they can work, but they can't talk, so those people, they're at that bottom spot. You're going to see them come and go, and then they might come back. You may forget they were there in the beginning because they put on some muscle, they grew their hair out, they did something that took them to a different level. That's that opening spot. Then there's guys that I say are at that's like the bottom of the bottom. It's the bottom, the middle, and the top. And each one has levels. Like there's the bottom guys just come and go. Then there's the guys who are at the bottom of the top of the bottom who win occasionally. And that's how I came in at 35 and a half. Might get a win here and there off one of those guys. They're just up there for the weekend, or for TV. And then when I wrestle against some guy who's, another notch above me at the top of the bottom or the bottom of the middle, I'm going to put him over. And it's all about positioning and how good you are and who the people are going to get with and who they believe in. So to really understand what wrestling is and to understand that I literally broke it at 35. My career took off at 40, and I became not just a world champion, but a Hall of Famer. No one believed in me. Yeah. I'll tell you a little segue, and I'll come back to this. I'll tell you how powerful the no one believed in me is. Rudy Rudiger, Notre Dame, Rudy Rudiger, right?
Mm-hmm. Rudy, yeah.
He does my DDPY program. And he does it because he saw the video of the disabled veteran that I helped walk. And at 72, when he saw that, he's like, I need that. So a friend of his who showed it to him was a friend of mine who works with me, put me and Rudy together. Rudy had no idea who I was. I was the guy who developed this DDPY program, and that he just wanted to do it. He wanted to feel, hold back the hands of time at 72. Bottom line is, when he realized, when I went out to Vegas and worked with him for 4 days, and by the time I left there, he had me on the phone with Angelo Pizzo. Angelo Pizzo is the writer of Hoosiers, Rudy, and My All-American.
Oh, okay.
And right, and plus he wrote 30 other movies that are out there. But those are the most inspirational, true stories. And when they're true stories, they're like 75% true. Yeah, and the rest is the Hollywood stuff. So he put me with Angelo, and Angelo is writing my story right now. That's when you really think about, like, it's not like you go on the playing field and just use a running back as an example, and you break away for 260-yard runs, everybody just changed the way they look at you. You're playing defensive tackle and you mow over that freaking offensive tackle who's going to go in the first round in college, and you mow over that cat. If you could be the walk-on, everybody's paying attention to you. So you can literally change your destiny because of your athletic ability. As a boxer, knock that son of a bitch out. you're going to get attention. UFC, knock that guy out, you're going to get attention. In professional wrestling, it's a show. It is sports entertainment. So when they see me come in at 35 and a half, I'm at the immediately, coming from being a manager, the middle of the bottom.
Yeah.
And that no one expects me to ever be more than that, only because I have a name, because they know Diamond Dallas Page is the manager, blah, blah, blah. Well, I work 5 times harder. You can't outwork me. That's my method of my psychology, the story I tell myself. And right as I started to get momentum, about 6 months in, I tore my rotator cuff. Bill Watts came in. They let me go. For a year, I spent with Jake the Snake Roberts. And Jake is a pivotal part of the story that Angelo is writing. I haven't seen it yet, but he told me he loves a story of me being the student later on in Resurrection, driving. It's he sees the movie. He doesn't write scripts. He writes movies to get made. That's how he talks. He said to me, the movie starts, you're in the car and you're driving to see Jake, and you've got your cameraman with you, and he's asking you questions, and he knows nothing about your story. And you start to tell him on your way to Jake's and how you know Jake, and and how without Jake, we're not talking. I always say, without Dusty Rhodes, there is no Diamond Dallas Page. Without Jake Snake Roberts, there's no 3-time world champion. Without the both of those guys and a few others, there's no Hall of Famer. And those guys are very instrumental in my life. And Jake took me under his wing. He actually moved in with me for 3 months because him and his wife were split up at the time. And he got to stay there until he lost the 12-foot black cobra in my house.
That was the line, huh?
Yeah, that was the line where your first ex-wife said, he's gone. And
bring those damn snakes in here. Them damn snakes out of here.
Oh my God. But our relationship, I could bring my matches to Jake and Jake would critique them for me. And it was one thing that really stood out. At one point he said, why are you doing that there? Why would you have done this, this, and that? And I said, well, that's what the guys who write the storylines told me to do. Remember, these guys create everything. If they don't see you as a top guy, if they don't see you as a middle guy, you're never going to get out of the bottom group of guys.
Yeah.
And bottom line is, Jake said, you're out there on TV. That's your time. You've got to take control of your destiny. And when I did that, and I expected to get some heat at times from it, but when I did that, I'll never forget, I was having a match with a guy named Alex Wright, and I'm right in early part of being 40 at that time. And the referee has a little thing in his ear, and he's telling you, you got 5 minutes. You got to go home. We need to get this match over because the next match has got to come out or go into commercial or something, right? Like, that's why there's a 3-hour chunk on a pay-per-view. If you get the 3 hours in 1 second and you didn't finish, you're off the air.
Yeah.
It's the same thing where if they got to stretch time for a commercial, you better have really delivered. So the ref was like, Diamond, they said, go home. And I went, yeah, okay. Because one thing I figured that they were doing was they would give me, say it was 10 minutes, but they'd send me home at 5. And I didn't figure it out until I started to play back all my matches that I wanted to do, because there's certain things I'm going to do those first couple of minutes that are going to be nothing like those last couple of minutes. So if I don't get my heat in as a bad guy, if I don't get that in, well, then we don't really have a real match. So they were sending me home, and I went, yeah, okay. And I just kept doing what I did. And then, a minute later, Diamond, like, they're in the back. They're yelling, going, okay, I got it. And then, and then finally, I got the kid. Yeah, is the Das Wonder kid. He's Alex Wright. He's in the turnbuckle. I got the ropes in him. I got my foot across his throat. And the referee comes right in my side. He's like, Simon, they're screaming in the back. I look, I said, shut the fuck up, motherfucker. I'll take the heat. And Alex, he's from Germany, right? He's a kid. He's like, Dallas, let's go home. Let's go home. I go, fucking kid, I'm taking the heat. Bing, bang, boom. We do a couple other things. And then I flip him over and I hit him with a diamond cutter and the roof blew off. And here comes one of the fuckers across. As soon as I get through the curtain, he put out his hand and he goes, congratulations. Today you became a worker. But I took control of my own destiny. And that's how I started and I built a lot of relationships with guys. It's so important. The guys you come in with, if you don't come in the first round, we just watch the draft. We know those cats who came in the first round, they are expected to be great.
Yeah.
Not good, fucking great. Now, the guys who got drafted in the 6th round, if they turn into something,
it's a bonus. Yeah.
It's a bonus. So those guys who came in on the 6th round and guys along that level, they're going to kind of hang together because they don't get to hang with, Tom Brady and whoever else. You know what I mean?
No, that's true, dude. I mean, I know for me, I was a 5th round pick. So I was like in the middle, but so I had to just kind of hang in that crowd. And once I got my chance to, be out there on the field, boom, I took advantage of it, and now I'm at the top on the team. So, you get that opportunity, you take advantage of it, and sometimes it means you got to, literally say, fuck the coach, this is what I'm doing, and I know I'm going the right way, and it's either going to work spectacularly or you're going to fail miserably. But either way, you're taking the shot,
The thing that I've found in everyone who has found greatness like that are the guys who went all in and said, fuck it. I'm not, first of all, that's not going to happen to me. This is what's going to. You have to see it. I was watching I was listening to one of this book. It's called, it's a great book called The Power of Habit. And I do all the things, but it's so good to hear, this is what these guys are teaching. This is the best-selling book. I do all this shit. Now, am I learning something here and there? Absolutely. But as a whole, I'm doing it. And the thing that was, that the power of habit it is around, willpower. Anyone can create willpower. That's not a God-given gift. Work ethic. Anyone can create. Now, there's also talent, which we know that's always going to be seen at a different level. But work ethic will beat talent every time talent doesn't work hard.
Yeah.
And that's what makes people like me and you who come here and then boom. And then you have, wow, okay, that shit does work. Inside my Hall of Fame ring, inscribed inside it, it says work ethic equals dreams, explanation point, DDP.
Oh man, that's real too. That's real. I mean, it's always, kind of an amazing thing to see when you reach that point where you see where the hard work paid off. Like you can actually see that this is where I was, this is where I pushed towards, this is what I achieved. And a lot of times it comes down to consistency, and consistency 100%. you can only create consistency through repetition, and repetition is hard work because it's monotonous. It gets boring. It can get stale to you in the mind. I mean, I know I've talked a number of times with our audience about how you look at NFL players and you look at us on Sundays and you see all that excitement and all that, all of the thrills and the competition that's going on between athletes. But during the week, it's like a job, like any other job, and it gets monotonous. And, NFL players living the dream. On Wednesday, we're complaining about, man, it's going to be a
Right.
long day of practice today. Hope we don't have to
Right.
get full pads. Everybody's kind of like, man, we just
Right.
want to get to Sunday. But, you know, the work is monotonous, but it's necessary. It's what you have to do in order to give yourself a chance to even compete on Sunday.
Look at the Stephen Currys, and you can use him right now because he's in such a crazy highlight right now. But Harden and all those guys, the guys that you see take that crazy shot and make it, people go, oh my God, that was so lucky. If you're an athlete, you know, what are you talking about? Was there some luck involved? Yes. That son of a bitch took that shot, fucking around, probably 1,000 times.
Oh yeah.
Like literally 1,000, maybe 10,000.
Yeah.
It's all about reps. And if you can get a young player, whether it's the NBA, MLB, NHL, NFL, professional wrestling, if you can get them to understand, it's all about reps. Whoever getting the reps, and that's the tough part of the NFL. You know, NBA, those guys are going to play against each other, so they're going to get the reps on the court. But in the NFL, it's kind of tough, man. You're second or third string.
Yeah,
you know, you got the main player.
Reps.
Yeah, fighting for reps, man. And repetition is the mother of learning. I grew up, you know, with ADD and dyslexia at a time that no one knew what the hell that meant, you know. And I was reading at a third grade level at the age of 30. And that's when I made a decision. I was going to learn how to read proficiently. And it took a long time. But it was about reps, you know, and making myself read, you know, and then I found it's a company called Eris Learning Center in Culver City, Los Angeles. And it was an 85-year-old woman, taught me every Tuesday and every Thursday. And she said I brought home more homework over a 6-month period than anybody ever, considering I never brought home any homework ever before, you know. But I finally got to a spot where I was starting to get all the little things they do with your, you know, with your brain for people with dyslexia and ADD and all that to help them focus. Repetition, though, without it, none of it happens. It doesn't matter what it is.
Oh yeah. No, man. ADD over here as well. So that I can definitely, like, repetition is like the only way for me to be able to hold in a lot of information over, you know, just because I get so scatterbrained thinking about so many different things.
Right.
But you know, tell me a little bit about some of your biggest feuds, man. Some of your biggest, you know, your biggest feuds in WCW. I know you and Randy Savage. That's one that's very underrated. But it was one that was a very intense one over your time in WCW. Like, what was your most? Who was your most? I guess like, who was your biggest rival? Like your biggest rival personally out there.
I got to give it to Randy. It was Pro Wrestling Illustrated. You know, anybody who's ever watched wrestling, you know, who understands, like, that's like Sports Illustrated for professional wrestling. And in 1997. Randy and I were the feud of the year. Also, I went from like number 82 on the top 500 list that year to number 4. And it really was that feud that brought it out. Because when you're dealing with things that are reality based, and it had to do with them attacking my wife. You know, you don't put your hands on the man's wife. And they just, it was,
I remember that.
It was so great, though, because Randy was a guy like myself that really loved to talk about the match. Like, what if we did this? What if we did that? Like, literally, to me, wrestling is the best when it's improvisation along with preparation, like knowing like how you do a certain thing, and then you feel the crowd, and that's where you end up going with it. But you know, we beat the hell out of each other, you know, for the sake of the art, because that's what it is, you know. And I'll tell you one thing, Uche, when that son of a bitch came off the top rope, at 5'11", 255 pounds, when he landed on you, and this is in his mid-40s. He was 43 at the time. I was 41. When he landed on you, you were his crash pad, bro.
Man.
The first time he landed on my ribs, I literally felt like the other side of my body shot out all my intestines and my stomach and my heart. Like, I was like, oh my God.
You got crushed.
And I just laid there, and the scary part was I knew he was going to do it again.
You're like, I got to rearrange my body next time he comes off that rope. Shoot.
I'll tell you, the second, I won the first match. And you got to have to understand, there's 5 guys in our company: Ric Flair, Lex Luger, Hulk Hogan, Sting, and Mach. Like, these guys didn't lose to anybody except themselves.
Yeah.
There was nobody else.
Circle.
There was nobody else. And at that point, Scott Hall and Nash came in. So to really be made, though, it had to be one of those top 5 guys. And Randy was the one who came up with the idea for the feud. I've come up with almost every storyline that you can imagine in professional wrestling for myself. Randy came up with that. And it was such a trip, man. The first match, he called it the night before we wrestled. We were in Florence, South Carolina. The place was sold out. They turned away 3,000 people. And we went out there and tore it down. And right at the end of the match, man, well, Arn Anderson was our agent who runs the match. And he came in before the match and said, "So what do you want to do, Randy?" And every night I'm getting my ass kicked by the NWO, period. And he said, I think I want to take the diamond cutter. And Arn was like, whoa. So what Randy wanted to do, he knew the angle was really over hot. We're in the main event on the pay-per-view, and he wanted to test and see what happened. So he beat the hell out of me that match. I got some good spots, but he beat the hell out of me. And right when I'm about to blow my comeback, he stopped me. And he went to slam me, and he said, "Diamond cutter." And I turned it into a diamond cutter, and the roof blew off. And I didn't know if he was going to kick out or not. I had no idea. I just laid across from him. 1, 2, 3. He laid there, and the place went batshit. It was so loud, but I could hear him say, "Well, guess we know what we're doing for Spring Stampede." And I really, honest to God, I did not know. Like, I expected it to be a big deal, but I never knew it would change my life like that. Like, it changed my life on such a level that I can't even explain. Like, all of a sudden, like, I'm on this rocket, and I went from here
straight to the moon.
WCW's #1 wrestler of the year, top 4 in the world. I mean, I was living the dream on such a level. So let's go to the next match. Randy got hurt. He actually tore his Achilles, so we had to go to the following month. So there's the big buildup for Paige Savage 2. And Scott Hall was going to get involved with the match. At the end of the match, Scott's going to hit me with the belt. Randy's going to hit me with a belt. Scott's going to give me his finish, and Randy's going to come off the top with his. So I'm getting my ass whooped by 2 guys and get hit in the head with a belt. I'm good with that loss. So the ref, remember I told you about the ref? He's going, "Go home." Like, he's literally screaming. If you go back and watch that match, as Randy gets to 1, 2, 3, Scott Hall comes in and raises his arms. You'll see me behind him start to sit up, and I go back down. Thank God. It goes to black that fast. That means the show's over. It's going to the next program.
Yeah.
About, I don't know, 3 or 4 minutes later, I'm walking backstage with my wife. She's my valet. And I stop and I look down and I go, did I just wrestle? And she said, what? I said, is it Nitro? Did I just wrestle? He said, stop it, Paige. You're scaring me. I go, what the fuck? I go, what's happened? Did I just wrestle or not? She goes, oh, no, you just the Great American Bash. You just wrestled Randy Savage. I go, what happened?
Yeah.
So she tells me that I sat up. Now their backs to me.
Yeah.
This would be like sitting up like Undertaker, coming to my feet, stumbling, fall through the ropes to the floor of my feet, and give them both the finger. This would be like John Wayne, Clint Eastwood, Sylvester Stallone shooting up friggin' Scarface, and he comes out, gets off the ground, and you can't kill me.
Yeah.
Like, no. This shit, Uche, this is like fighting in the back shit.
Yeah.
I realize that I go in the locker room and I put a table in front of me. So they couldn't bum rush me because I knew they were going to be mad. So,
once they saw that.
Yeah, they were going to be, as soon as they turned around, like, what the fuck's he doing? Like, this is going to be an issue in the back.
Yeah.
And they kicked that door in. And I said, I was knocked out. I don't remember anything.
Concussion.
Like, you don't believe me? And I threw the table out of the way. I said, let's go then. You know, because you're not supposed to fight ever in the back. I've done it twice.
Yeah.
I sure as hell didn't want to do it with both of those sons of bitches. So they walked away, and I started feeling something right here. Right? Like, what the hell is that? By the time we got to the hospital, it was like this. And my face looked like a chipmunk. And I had a severe concussion. But again, this is 1997.
Nobody's even knowing how to even handle that.
I didn't even take it to their doctor just to be sure. But next night I headlined the main event against Bret Hart.
Shit.
You know, it's like
that's crazy.
But you know, you got your bell rung, boom, go back in there. You know, that's 1997. You know, little kids get their bell rung, get back in there.
Yeah,
you know,
true.
So you know,
That's
but
true.
it really made me. It created such a. I'll tell you a great story. That Thanksgiving, I back when the beepers. Remember, I had beepers right back then.
Yeah.
And I get little messages. There was the pretext of texting, and the message might write, "Happy Thanksgiving, bro. Thanks for the push." Like, I helped over 30 guys get jobs, meaning I helped 30 guys live the dream, you know, of being a professional wrestler. So I was getting hit by all these guys, right? And I finally thought, God, I wonder who doesn't know that I'm grateful. And I went, Savage, I'll bet you he doesn't know. So I picked up the phone, Uche, and I called him up and I said, hey, Randy, I left him a message because he never answered his phone. I said, listen, man, I got a lot of people texting me on my beeper, happy Thanksgiving and thank you for helping them live the dream. And I started thinking, who doesn't know I'm grateful? And man, I don't know if you know much, but I want you to know that I know I'm not living this dream the way I am right now without you. And bro, I'll never forget it as long as I live. And I'm so thankful to you. That's all, buddy. Have a great Thanksgiving. Hung up. So I don't think about it because that's like on a Wednesday. Monday, we're at TV. And I'm coming in the back of the building with my bags. And he sees me from across the other side of the stadium. Diamond, come here. I was thinking, what the hell did I do, man? He's power walking at me. When he gets
power walking, that could look I bet that's intimidating as hell.
He was that guy you saw on TV. All of us are those guys amped up, but he was amped up a lot of the time everywhere. Very rarely did he come down. And he grabbed me by the arm and he pulled me in the office and he said, "I got your message." Yeah, I did. And I played it. I played it a couple of times and I listened to it. I listened to it a couple of times and then I called up my dad and I played it for him. And I said, "Dad, did any of the boys ever do something like this for you?" And he said, "No." He said, "I just want you to know it meant a lot." And he gave me a huge bear hug. And it was
big,
super,
man.
Yeah, it was huge, man. It solidified our friendship forever, you know. And like he helped me. And I would do the same things for a lot of guys. But that was the one time that you're actually feeling this complete change. Like Hulk and I were at Toy Fair that year, 1997. And I had like things like this, like with diamond cutter signs and shit everywhere. You know, Hulk was like, this is one of my favorite ones. Check this one out. This one isn't just an action figure, which I got freaking hundreds of them. But look at the workmanship of this.
That's
one.
like that's a statue.
Yeah.
That's a 1/6 right there. Yeah.
And there was like 4 of us who had them done. It was super cool. Like Hulk was like, "You got that over, man." And this is the reason why I was able to fight through the naysayers of the people who never thought I would ever make it, because I got the fans to do this.
Yeah.
And 20,000. I have a picture, and you can't really appreciate it, but it's in. I wrestled when I was 61. I'm 65 now. At Mania in Dallas Stadium, holds 101,000 people with the floor, right?
Yeah.
And I got a picture, and I'm really little in it, and you can see about a third, maybe 25% of the building, every single person. When I walked out,
diamond up.
threw their hands up. I mean, it was, it stuck with people, and people appreciated it, and I've worked it into my own program. As far as my DPY program,
that's like
part of
for you. That's like your Nike logo. Like that's
right.
like the Nike logo. Seriously,
it is.
When you throw that up, because I know. Didn't you have a court case with like Jay-Z over that?
Yeah.
And I remember reading it like, well, that diamond cutter. That's it right there. And that was their Hove, the Rock thing, right?
Yeah, and
how did that kind of play out? Like I didn't remember how it.
Yeah, right. Because you can't. All I'm allowed to say is the matter's been resolved, and I tell you, I got a shitload of respect for a guy like Jay-Z, who comes up from the hood and dealing, and now is a billionaire, and he makes a huge difference in people. And we resolved everything. Again, it comes down to respecting somebody. I got a lot of respect for that cat, as far as just what he's done in life.
Yeah.
But for me, like, I knew that, what I was going to do with my workout, because here's what happened. I start wrestling at 35. My career takes off at 40. That's in 96, 97 and 98. I headlined in like 13 out of 24. Main event, either the pay-per-view main event or the semi-main event. I mean, I was on every single card. I worked 300 days a year almost, really 270 minimum, actually bumping in the ring. And going into 99, I blew my back out. I ruptured my L4 and L5. Now, you ain't ever playing football again if that happens. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And I was told by 3 spine specialists I was never going to be able to wrestle again. Yeah. And it wasn't about the money, but I finally got paid. I literally, all over 97 and 98, everybody was making 7 figures. I was making $275,000. And because there's so many players that get signed and they get that small end, they get that bonus when they sign, but they don't really make the real money until they hit that
second
point.
contract. Yeah, that second contract is the big one.
So this was really like my fourth. So I finally made it. So this was, now I'm getting paid, and now they're telling me it's over. And like football, if for this in wrestling, if you don't work, you don't get paid, And so
nothing's guaranteed in football. They'll snatch that contract as soon as they feel like it.
And to me, that's the biggest robbery of all time, because they should have to at least pay, at least half of it, because you're giving your body, you tear an ACL. This is what I try to tell so many players. You tear an ACL, you're done. Like if you come back, you're one of the very few that come back. You tear a hamstring, you tear anything.
Yeah, once you tear something in that lower body, even if you return, your value drops, because now they even if you come back 100% and there's no difference, they use that in their bargaining chip, in their bargaining negotiations as leverage. Well, you tore an ACL, so really we got a ceiling on you now. We got a cap. This is as high as you're going to get for us. And and that's the dirty part of the game. That's the business part where they use the things that that you have tried to build. They use some of those things against you, like the injuries they use against you. The market value. They use market value in the NFL. Well, even though like you outperformed everyone else in the league, this is what the market says that you should be getting. And it really does show that they can be a cutthroat just for the sake of being cutthroat.
Oh, 100%.
And one thing I wanted to ask you, and I know you probably have strong feelings about this, because as I learned more about it, a few years ago from a show like John Oliver's Last Week Tonight, there's a lot missing in the health services for professional wrestling. There's a lot missing in way of there. I mean, you guys don't have a union, so there's really no set structure for how guys get paid, how guys get benefits, how guys are able to receive treatment after their career's over with. Like, do you feel like that there should be a union when it comes to world wrestling? Because even with you guys' era of wrestling, if you fast forward to now, like these new age wrestlers they don't even own their own property. Like they don't even own their own likeness. Like they have to like hand over. Like I remember a couple of really famous female wrestlers who are on Twitch, who stream on Twitch, and the WWE shut them down. Like they cannot stream as their WWE identity. Like they can't make any money off their WWE identity, or it goes straight to the WWE. Like, are you in favor of something changing and giving these guys a union to be able to represent them individually, so that there can be a little bit more of a fair playing field? Because I know, and I get it. Like in your time, in your era, like it was deeper than just the money. Like there was a lot more that had to do with respect, had to do with the hustle, the grind of it, and creating those bonds and creating those particular matches that were entertaining for the fans. Like it was the family and the fans, it felt like. And your money comes as well. You get to live that life, but that's what enables it all, is doing it it's working together for you and for the fans. And now it seems like, even as to where there's scripted parts to the elements in the ring, there's still like this huge overshadow of the corporate model that just does not play fair with the wrestlers themselves. So where do you kind of fit in that? Like, what's your perspective on that?
I knew going in the way it was, and it was just part of the shit. It's like it was what it is. Today, it's a different animal. Like I'll give you just a couple examples. Like there should be, and I don't know who's gonna really start it. If anybody really starts it, it should be started in AEW, because that's Warner Brothers. And if anything, those cats understand unions and shit. You know what I mean? So I think if they actually were to do it, and it's so hard to do because someone starts it, unless you can get everybody in and the top
Everybody got to
guys.
be on board.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I don't really see it happening. You know, the other side of it is the whole private contractor thing. Like, you're a private contractor until they tell you what you can and can't do.
Yeah.
You know, how are you a private contractor then? So, like, there's so much money out there right now. And here's a great example. Like, the online, for years, they built up the brand of the WWE Network.
Mm-hmm.
And $9.99, you know, on there. I mean, all my matches, all my stuff, I never saw a dime for any of that. So let's take it to a different spot. They sold the viewing, the package, all the content to Peacock. You know about that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Peacock, they gave them $1 billion. Not to buy the footage, to buy the rights to use the footage.
Yeah.
So that means Vince gets that all back in 5 years. But they'll pay.
So he gets the
more
footage
for it.
back. So he's getting so he's basically they're licensing. They're
Exactly.
licensing it for 5 years, but they keep the actual masters. They are able to keep that.
So let me tell you how crazy this is, though. Is that Vince was charging $9.99, right? Peacock brought in this deal right before WrestleMania, which was fucking genius, because Peacock, even though they paid $1 billion and whatever change, who knows what that is? I just know it's $1 billion. From what my buddy Eric Bischoff told me the other day, we were having a conversation about it, they got 36 million subscriptions in 1 month.
Wow.
So 36
So this is just
million,
all streaming, right?
This is just streamings. They picked up 36 million new customers. Now, will everybody stay? Most likely not. But let's just do the math. If it's 30 million of the 36 million stay, that's $150 million a month of new business. Now, they've already paid for the thing in 1 year then. So you see, Vince could sell it probably next time for $5 billion. Who knows?
He can just keep rotating that.
Whatever works. But the point is, the way it's set up, the company, and I got no problem with it because I know what I came in on. But these guys today, it is what it is of the animal. And I'm happy that they're making it and being able to do shit like that, mainly because I'm all over that friggin' TV when it comes to anything with WCW and the Monday Night Feuds, the Monday Night Wars. That's going to be the primary thing people watch on and off forever. So it's a way to keep our name out there, and I get to build my brand off of that brand, but I'm one of the guys who owns his own name. Many people, like you said at the beginning, don't own their own name. And there's a handful of us. You know, me, Jake the Snake Roberts, Scott Hall owns his own name, is NWO Scott Hall. Kevin Nash owns his own name. But Hulk, of course, owns all his stuff. Yeah. But a lot of the guys who own their own stuff are gone.
Yeah.
So, should there be a union? Absolutely. I don't know how it's ever going to come about because it's scripted. If they decide they don't want you in, then your push does that. You know,
it would have to be a top. It would have to be like the top wrestler.
It would have to be
who starts that charge where you can't cut him out. You cut him out, that's gonna mess with your money. But I mean, you think about that.
I don't see it happening. I really don't. I think
it would be hard.
Yeah, it'd be really hard. But maybe at some point, Jesse Ventura, he tried to do it in the 80s. Yeah, and he got a lot of heat for it too.
Yeah. I mean, because I think much like the NFL in the 80s, the NFL was in the same situation, and they had to go through that strike in order to get a union set up. Right. And you see the movie The Replacements, well, that's loosely based on that season of replacement players that the NFL went with. And obviously the level of football changed because when you compare it. But I think ultimately it was a good thing that the NFL got a union, because
100%.
Now, we still get money off of certain aspects of our career, right? So whose likeness is going to be used heavily in a streaming platform that's already got 30 plus million subscribers. Like, shit, even if you're getting like 2 cents to the dollar, like you should be getting your bread off of that, because you're going to be a huge attraction to that. And he's snatching that bread up. Vince McMahon is snatching up all that money, and none of it trickles back to the actual wrestlers. And with you and what you've done with DDPY, with your yoga brand, you've enriched and you've actually saved some of your own former comrades, former teammates, for lack of a better term. You've saved some lives with that, man. I mean, it's really, and I can understand where you're like, hey, I'll just keep building my brand off of what they're doing with that, because really there's not much you can do to get any of that money. But your brand, you're lucky. You're one of the few who has built a brand for himself that's sustained, that's self-sustaining, and is actually expanding and growing as you're going further into it. So, I mean, definitely, I want to hear a little bit about how you started, DDPY, and if you feel like going into some of that, some of the details with Jake the Snake and Razor Ramon, like, and how you got those guys on board with it, how it changed, the trajectory of their lives from where they were. Because, honestly, dude, that's the story of a lot of professional athletes, and especially in the football world. That's the story of a lot of professional athletes after their career ends. And, I've always been very sensitive to that, because, I know guys who aren't here anymore because they kind of fell into that hole, that depression, that, substance abuse, all those things that really, it's really just symptoms of players dealing with post-traumatic stress from having a life that was just purely one thing for decades, and then all of a sudden that ends, and they're trying to find a new space in quote unquote the real world. If you want to speak a little bit about that, man, that would be awesome to hear you talk about how that how you were able to bring your brand into their lives and help change their lives.
Well, it all started with me first. I'm looking for a sequence. I don't know how I can't find it. Oh, here it is. So it all started healing me. So going into 99, when I rupture my L4 and L5, I get 3 spine specialists tell me, you're done. And I wasn't ready to hear that. So it definitely created a lot of emotional gravity. Like, I pulled myself down, why me? And just started feeling sorry for myself. Now, there's one thing I know. The biggest names in the world, from the LeBrons to Tom Brady's to Trump's to Obama's to Oprah, they all go down. They all go down. They just don't stay there. They pop back up again. And they start figuring out how. Okay, everyone says I can't fix this. How can I fix this? And my wife at the time, Kimberly, she was like, why don't you try yoga to heal you?
Hold on, Dallas. Oh, we lost you a little bit there. Just go back about 5 seconds.
Sure. Kimberly was like, why don't you try doing yoga to heal your body? I'm like, fuck that. I wouldn't be caught dead doing yoga, because I was that poster boy.
Yeah.
So I understand it more than anybody. But when I really looked at what I could do, I'm doing rehab. And by this time, I had rehabbed both shoulders from surgery, both knees from surgery. So I know a lot about rehab, and I am gifted when it comes to helping people break up scar tissue. And that's where, pain comes in. That's where, you become inflexible, so you just stop moving it. And if you freaking don't use it, baby, when you're injured,
you lose it.
You lose it. Anyone who's been cut on, who's an athlete, knows if you don't rehab properly, you're screwed.
Yeah.
So I decided to do the yoga with her. And I was so frustrated because there was nothing there to show me a modification. Like how do I can't even get into that position. But she could, because she's like damn Gumby, right? She also didn't have a million bumps on her body, Yeah. So long story short is, after about 3 weeks, I started figuring out how to modify different positions, and I was going to rehab every single day. Yeah. And even though they didn't tell me that I was done, I was not going to let that seep back into my brain. My brain was, I know I can fix this. I know I can fix this. One night before I went to bed, I started to mix the rehabilitation stuff with those yoga positions I was learning. I'm like, wow, this works pretty good. And then as time would go on, I would add in old school calisthenics, like push-ups, squats, crunches, done with a slow burn movement. Like get into a plank position, lower your knees. Yeah, but I would lower my knees and then lower for 3, hold for 3, come up for 3. Eventually, I got off my knees. Eventually, those 3-second push-ups became 5. 5 became 10. 10 became sets of 10. So what I figured out by accident is every time you are flexing, when you're moving slow with weight, like moving slow as opposed to this shit, because that's momentum.
Kind of that negative lifting where you're holding and you're controlling rather than just trying to brute force it. You know what I mean? Time
under tension. What happens is every time you flex or engage a muscle, your heart has to beat faster to get the blood to the muscle. So by accident, in less than 3 months, I've developed this beginning embryonic stages of what today I call DDPY, which stands for DDP Yoga. So why are you calling it DDPY? Why? Because I want people to stop calling it just fucking yoga, because it's not. It's so much more. And I always say most yogis are very namaste. DDPY, way more TNA. And when I first said that years ago, friggin' 16 years ago, I meant TNA. I meant tits and ass. Good-looking women and regular guys. But once I realized how many women really dug the workout, TNA became tone and attitude, which was a huge part of what I was doing. In less than 3 months, I was back in the ring.
Wow.
At 42, they said my career's over. At 43, that big gold belt back there, that's me racing the son of a bitch.
Can let's get a look at that belt real quick? Can we get a quick look at that?
Sure, keep that on a little stand back here.
Oh, look at that.
Let's see, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet.
That's that heavyweight WCW heavyweight championship belt right there.
10 pounds of
Make
gold,
sure you
baby.
smashing that like button. We got DDP Diamond Dallas Page in here, folks. World champs in here, folks.
So what that did, Uche, what that did for me was it put me back in the ring. And I would go on till I was 46. And then I almost broke my neck. And then I went out to LA, did the Hollywood thing, and I'm doing my this workout every day. I'm still lifting weights up till about 49. And then I was like, I don't even need the weights. I don't want that big bulky look anymore. I want to go from 250 down to 220, 225, because every time you lose a pound, your knees, every time you lose 5 pounds, your knees feel so much better. So
yeah.
taking that weight off, you're taking it off your knees and your hips. So the strengthening of my body today, is a different level. Again,
Yeah.
I'm 65. What kept me going was I'm out there doing the Hollywood thing, and I decide I'm still going to keep focusing on the Hollywood thing, but I'm going to start working on this program, which today is known as DDPY, and I'm going to turn it into changing lives at a different level. As I know what it did for me, how many people could I do it for? So this is a guy, and this is a guy who really put me on the map. His name is Arthur Borman. He's 5'6", 297 pounds. That's day one. This is 10 months later.
Wow.
From that guy to that guy. Now, just look at the physiology from that guy to that guy. Now,
He looks
this
built.
is what this is all about. Helping that guy get there.
Oh.
And there and there. This is my favorite picture. This one right here. I'm like, Arthur, why is your son holding you? He said, because I'll fall. Not anymore. Look how different that cat looks.
Look, he looks completely different, man.
From this guy
completely different
to that guy.
Wow.
Now, I'm saving this for. I've got this TED Talk I'm preparing. They've asked me twice and I couldn't do it either time. But next time they ask me, I'm going to be ready. One of the things that he lost 140 pounds in 10 months. More importantly, he lost the knee braces, back braces, canes, not just to walk, but run. On his 1-year anniversary, he's 5'6". He took a picture of his 6-foot son.
Wow. He's holding the push-up position with him on his back.
I would never even ask him to do that. And just to show you, we've been sitting here for a little over an hour. At any point in time, man, at 6'4", 200, and we'll take the sneakers off here. 224 pounds. Pull my foot out here.
Look at that.
Have a conversation with you and hold it out here of twisted steel and sex appeal at 65 years young. Now, one of the things that I can't
do that shit at all. I mean, I can't do it. I can't do that. I can't do it today. I can't do it today. I would have to stretch for like a week and then I could maybe do it.
But it's not stretching. It's stretching and strengthening muscles, ligaments, and tendons. If you look at Chris Jericho, he's going to be 51 in November. He blew his back out 10 years ago. They said his career was over. He watched the video of that guy. Like if you go to ddpy.com, scroll to the bottom, that guy I just showed you the pictures of, that guy has a video that shows where he was walking with the canes and the knee braces to running at the end of it. It'll make you cry because it's so authentic. And what he gave me was the vehicle to show guys like Jake and Scott. When Chris Jericho saw it, he said, send me whatever you're going to send me. I will do whatever you tell me to do. 10 years later, last year, he signed a multi-million-dollar 3-year deal at 50. Now, Chris isn't working. He's not working 24 days a month anymore, but he's working 6-7 days a month in the ring. He's 51 in November. AJ Styles is one of the greatest athletes ever. He does the craziest shit ever. At 38, he blew his back out. They said his career's over. He's going to be 44 this year. He does my program 5 days a week, 6 days a week. And the guys are doing it to not just be able to be in the ring and live the dream. They're doing it they look at me at 65. Yeah. And they're praying to God they can do what I can do at 65. Now, we have, I'm going to take this for you right here. I'll show you what's in my gym in this area here. And there's this little plaque that's right there.
Oh, you got that NFL alumni plaque in there. Well, you got to explain to me what's going on with that.
I gave it to all of you. If you're in the, if you were in the NFL, and I take care of all the guys who ever played with it, it made it 3 years or not.
Yeah.
I put a deal with those guys, and we give it to all of the guys who've ever played in the game. And I got a ton of guys who are doing it and getting, awesome results with it. The thing is, we talked about the union and all that. People don't really understand that as of 93 on, the guys are taken care of. They've got, annuity packages, and they friggin' got where they can get retirement. Those poor guys before
all that. Yeah.
Yeah, but before 93, they don't get shit.
They don't get nothing. It's crazy, man.
Yeah,
it's crazy. There's been a lot of. I've had talks with former players. Actually, one former player who I was a teammate with, who just passed away last week, Gino Hayes. This was a player who also, me and him spoke about, just where the disconnect is in some aspects with the NFL and the former players. And, I think that a lot of players in the NFL right now, the issue that we have is that, for everything that we as players have done to help build the brand of the NFL, because we were out there playing, whether, it's somebody who has their 3 credited seasons and gets their pension, or whether it's a practice squad guy, we feel like the NFL is a big enough corporation that all former players should have lifetime healthcare coverage
100%.
Covered by the NFL.
100%. 100%.
Yeah, and right now that's not the case. It's only 5 years, and that's 5 years for vested players, guys who have their pension. Everyone else, they'll put you on Cobra, and Cobra. I mean, shoot, dude, Cobra is like the most expensive version of healthcare coverage that there is out there. But and you look at kind of in comparison as well with wrestling, guys who don't have anything, and I mean. What you're doing with DDPY, that I feel like that would easily fall under the category of like physical therapy, because it actually helps to rebuild stability in the body. It helps to marginalize the effects that some of the injuries that guys had during their careers. Helps to kind of minimize the effect that has on them over time after they're done, after they're retired, and And it a lot of times, and this has always been the problem in my eyes, is that it boils down to the politics of unions and their collective bargaining agreements. And the head of the NFLPA, DeMaurice Smith, has shown on multiple now, like this is the second CBA that he's been in charge of, where now we're looking at a situation in the NFL where players are going to lose a percentage of their post-career benefits. The NFL, and I think this starts in 2023 or 2024, they take 25% of our pension away. Like they nickel and dime. It's a great question. They actually changed this wording in the CBA after the CBA had already been ratified. So they actually went back and changed the rules post the agreement to change the amount that we have in terms of medical benefits, in terms of pension, in terms of healthcare coverage. They've really nickel and dimed in the latest CBA, and I think it's because you have a union leadership that kind of places the post-career aspects of the bargaining agreement in the background, while they promote more of these things for players who are currently in the league. Like they promote things like less practice during the off season, less padded days during the football season, which is all well and good for players who were playing. I remember when we got in 2010, that first CBA with DeMaurice was ratified, and it was cool that we had less, full padded practices, so the players weren't overworked during the season, but also at the same time, they had made it so that we actually had gotten extended benefits post-career with healthcare coverage that was completely covered by the NFL for 5 years after you retire. And 5 years seems like a long time until you hit that 5-year mark, and you're like, damn, that was pretty quick. And we were expecting in the next CBA, which was 2020, we were expecting that would see a boost in healthcare coverage post career, because that was a major item amongst the current players and retired players. And they initially came out as if it was going to stay the same for the time being, but after they ratified the CBA, the NFL and the NFLPA then agreed to change the rules or change the stipulations on post-career health care, and they're going to be taking up to 25% of that away from players in 2024, which is going to be disastrous for a lot of guys, because a lot of guys aren't going to get 5 years for
100%.
their healthcare coverage.
Yeah.
And a lot of guys are not going to have any kind of coverage provided by the NFL, and they're going to get less in way of their pension. They're going to get less in way of their what's it called? The reimbursement system that we have for healthcare coverage. So, like, let's say if I go and get shoulder surgery, I pay for it. I show the NFL PA my receipts. They pay me back that money. They're going to stop doing that for after a certain amount of years. So that's supposed to be something that goes on as a lifetime benefit that they're now taking away. So there's a lot of things that, that aren't perfect with it right now, but I'd be lying if I say that still it wasn't a lot better than what I've seen with, some situations with other sports. Hockey has a really bad situation with theirs as well. And I think the NBA has the best situation of all professional sports. They have lifetime coverage for their players the moment they retire. They have a number of different annuity. I mean, we have annuity accounts, but they have a number of different annuity accounts that their players get access to earlier than our players do. And, I think the NFL is really lagging behind. Now, with all that being said, something like what you're doing, I feel like with wrestling and really with sports in general, as a real kind of rehabilitative kind of program, I would think it'd be worth it to maybe look into finding out if there's a way to incorporate that officially with the WWE or with AEW. Something that
pretty much everybody knows, at this point. Some guys don't feel right, just call, they'll just buy it, and when I find that out, I cancel their subscription and just give it to them. I just take care of all athletes, entertainers, people who, put their body, even the guys who are in the bands, whether it's country or rap or rock or whoever they are, I give them the program so that they can do shit on the road as well, because that can be a little hard. But looking at the reason why it was important to me that I got to deal with the NFL alumni is because a lot of you guys gave me a lot of enjoyment, watching you beat the fuck out of yourselves. And it's really good that they've changed the rules of the game to make it not as violent, but it's always going to be violent.
It's always going to be violent.
It's freaking, that's what it is. That's what professional wrestling is. It's what it is. So, but how you take care of yourself, like one of the things that I've got, and you've probably heard of some of the players doing the hyperbaric chamber and all that stuff.
I have one.
Now, what's your PSI on yours?
Ooh, I'd have to go
4?
look at it when I cut it on.
How big is it?
It fits me. I mean, I can lay in mine like completely like comfortable. I got mine. Mine was I forget the brand. It's upstairs, but I got mine in 2013, and it's like a self-sustaining one. Like I have two air compressors, and then I have the filtration system that kind of helps to sets up the oxygen, the pressurized oxygen.
Good.
So when you lay up in it, I would get in that thing after football games. Like I would get in it after a game for like 2 hours, lay in it, kind of take a quick nap in it for 2 hours. I get in it again on Wednesday after practice, get home, get in it for 2 hours after practice, getting it again on Friday before we travel, if it's an away game, or Friday or Saturday if it's a home game. 2 or 3 hours at a time, like 3 times a week. And then we all, like, me and a couple of guys on the team, we had nurses that we worked with, that we would have. They would come bring us all kinds of different vitamins, minerals, and give us IV drips,
IVs.
vitamin C.
Wow. You were ahead of it, dude. You were ahead of the time. That's really good to know.
Yeah, try to keep your body in peak condition for the game, but also it keeps your body, kind of keeps it from going through that aging process that football will put your body through. Football literally will age you at double the rate of a normal human just for playing it. So, my last 2 years in the NFL, I really got into that, and I really had a routine with that I stuck with. Now, obviously, since I retired, maybe not the IVs so much, but my hyperbaric chamber has been huge. Especially on days where lower back's hurting, shoulders hurting, muscles just feel really tight. Get a stretch in, get in there, lay in it for a little while. Just kind of let it kind of filter the oxygen in my system, so that I can, it gives you kind of a refreshing feel. But yeah, taking care of yourself post career is huge, because
pivotal.
I mean, things, your body begins to kind of relax over the years, and that's when those muscles start to become kind of a liability, because you got these big muscles that are heavy that your body has to be able to, you have to be tight enough to be able to maintain that, to be able to walk around with that without feeling, pressure from it,
Well, you've been to my house before, so now it's time for you to come over here and do the swimming one time.
I do. I need to come do it. I've been saying I'm going to come do it for a while, but I think it's time to make that move now. It's time to make that move.
And really, I was Big Kevin Nash trying to call me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Big Nash was trying to call in. I'm doing something down at I'm going to do this big party before WrestleMania 2022, and my buddy has a bar that's right across the street from the Cowboys Stadium.
Oh,
so
nice.
They're going to be doing it next year in Dallas, Texas. So I'm going to do a big DDP workshop there one day, but WrestleMania day, we will kick it off at 12 o'clock, and everybody who comes from our party is going to have a hell of a buzz. And I want to get Nash there and Jake there, and a bunch of the boys for the party right before Mania. But let's get back to you. You talk to my daughter all the time. She'll give you, hook you up my number, hit me up, and me and you just get together. I'll show you how this can really help you hold back the hands of time from all the years of the punishment on the field. And the biggest thing is finding those kids. Like I just started Trey McKinney, who played for Georgia. I think he went in the second round. Yeah, good kid, tight end. I just hooked him up with the program. And Kurt Beckett, who's backup quarterback at Falcons, he just went to he's going to Green Bay to be the backup quarterback there. Who knows what's going to happen with that scene? Right?
Yeah. Green Bay is wild right now.
I was going to. Yeah, boy. That's going to be really interesting. But I'm really excited to see what the two boys from friggin' from Georgia, literally right here. Trevor, what's his last name? The kid from Clemson.
Trevor
number
Lawrence.
pick. The number one
Trevor
pick.
Lawrence. Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence, forgot his last name. And Justin Fields. Justin Fields went to right over there in Kennesaw. So both of them boys are, they're Georgia boys.
Yeah, they're local boys.
Really interesting to see. They both have so much potential to have unbelievable NFL careers. And That's what I'm looking to work with a lot of the athletes who really want to really do the preventative maintenance and not get hurt, because I can show them how to do it and hook them up with my shit, and if they just do it, they're going to be 3 steps ahead, and the odds of them getting injured are going to be way less. But I really see myself in the next 3 years becoming the guy that athletes go to when they do tear their meniscus, or they tear their ACL, or hamstring, or whatever the hell they do, whether it be the NFL, the NBA, MLB, whatever, NHL, helping those guys turn it around. And I'm really looking for that one, running back who used to run for 800 to 1,000 yards, and he's still got another year left on his contract, but he ain't running for 150, 200 yards because he's hurt. Being able to take that guy, because I've done it for so many of our athletes, I know I can do it for them too. So that's like the mission of where I'm going with DDPY. I just bought a place. I don't know if Britt told you, but we bought a place on the ocean in Panama City, on the Gulf right there, and we're building a retreat place down there. It's going to be super sweet. And where guys might go, it's a bit of a pain in the ass coming to Atlanta. Everybody wants to go to the beach. So,
that's true.
That's where everybody got them.
Being out there on the beach with something that's kind of set up for athletes to come in, kind of get comfortable, and then work the program for a few weeks in the off season. Yeah, guys do that, and I mean, shoot, dude, we'll talk after the stream, man. I got some connections with people up in Jacksonville. Might be able to get them to take a look at what you're doing for some of the players on the team, because I know we used to do that. We had people come in and work with us on yoga specifically for helping, just to keep that flexibility, keep that nimbleness. We had guys come in. We had people come in like every Friday and just work with the team right after practice. So guys got to go meet with them in a different part of the facility, and we'd go through like an entire program with them, 30, 40 minutes, and then, guys go on and do their own thing after that. But yeah, we'll definitely talk about that, man. But everybody in the chat, DDP here, Diamond Dallas Page. No, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
So let's plan on getting together in the next couple of weeks.
Sure.
Get with Britt. We'll set it up, and then once you see what I'm talking about, you're gonna go, "Wow, this ain't what I thought it was." So,
oh no, dude, we're gonna do that. I'm gonna get with Britt, and we're gonna set up a time for me to come in. She's been telling me to do it for like a year now, and I've been like, all right, I was like, you know what? I know how hard yoga can be if you're not like already kind of been working out a little bit, like starting that cold.
But that's not how I start you.
Okay.
I've learned, like, my workouts start off for people in bed. Tear your ACL, that's where I'm gonna have you go. Or if you can't get out of bed, I'm going to strengthen you so that you can get out of bed and then work out in a chair. Where if you're coming off an ACL, it's the next place you're going to go. Then stand up using the chair to create balance. That's how I've gotten Jake and Scott and that disabled veteran and all the guys. DDPY meets you where you are. I don't want people to walk out and go, that just kicked my ass. Unless that's what you want. Because I can do that crazy shit too, but that's not
that's what we gotta have as football players. We gotta feel like we got our ass kicked and then we're like, okay, now it's something for me to conquer. Now something for me, it's a challenge now.
Whatever works, my friend. Whatever works. So let's wrap it up. We did an hour and 34.
We did, man. I appreciate you, dude. You've been awesome. You've been awesome, man. I really do appreciate it. Appreciate everybody who's in the chat. See Christopher Arcella, he's been over there dropping links for DDP's official website as well as his official yoga website, DDPY. Make sure you guys check that out. Make sure you guys definitely swing by and check out systems for that. I know you guys have packages that you do for that, correct? Packages online that people can get.
Yeah, it's all different stuff. The main thing I want people want to do to get the app. It costs you nothing for the first 7 days. This way you get to try it and see if it works for you. DDPY works if you work. Or just go to DDPY.com, DDPyoga.com. There's all different stuff for DVDs. I can't believe how many DVDs we still sell. But the only reason it's like that is there's a bunch of gamers out there, and a lot of the guys they're still using the players and stuff, so you can put any DVD in there. So that's how DVDs, I guess, are still selling. But bottom line is our app has not just all the workouts, over 300 workouts, but motivational Mondays, different cooking shows every week. We're cooking. Brittany does a lot of them. We cook really healthy food, and we show you how to make healthy food taste amazing. So just go to go to ddpy.com. All the info's there. My brother, it was great talking with you.
Great talking with you as well, man.
I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, right? You're going to be seeing me soon, man. You're going to be seeing me soon. I appreciate you, everybody. DDP, Diamond Dallas Page. Appreciate you, brother. Yeah, throw that thing up there, bro. All right, man. You have a good one, brother.
See you, pal.
Bye. All right, everybody. Man, that was a heck of a stream that we had there with Diamond Dallas Page. He's really doing some big things, man. It's funny because I've been down in that area that he was in when we were doing the stream, and I've seen like the championship belt, and I held it in my arms, and it was like really heavy, and it felt like some shit, like it felt like I was a champion when I was holding that thing. So that was pretty awesome, and it's crazy. One of my earliest memories from Christmas. I remember when this is back when you used to actually make a Christmas list and you give it to your parents, and they'd have it for months, and you're just hoping, man, hopefully I get this gift. And my first major Christmas gift that I ever asked for was a championship wrestling belt. And my parents got me this big WWF World Championship Wrestling Heavyweight Championship belt, and I wore that thing. I wore it in the shower. I wore it in the backyard playing with the dog. I wore it going to school. I was a champ during that. And, just to see one of those real belts in real life, so awesome, so cool. And, Diamond Dallas Page was, just so gracious coming on, talking to us about, his life as a wrestler, as a world championship wrestler, a guy who's a Hall of Fame inductee. I mean, does it get any better than that? Living at that level, playing at that, performing at that level. I mean, really was some awesome stuff. But no, I do appreciate you guys very much. I did miss, I believe we had a super chat from RC from NYC, man. I missed that. I'm sorry about that, but I will try and get that read next time I jump on here on a live stream. But hey, guys, I really do appreciate you guys so much for being on here today. And look for more interviews like this to start popping up for Lineman Life Live. That's going to be, something that I'm going to try and expand on here very soon. So, DDP was just the first one. Awesome time with him. Absolute honor to have him on. But make sure you smash that like button before we get up out of here. Smash that like button. Share this stream with your friends. Have them come check it out even after we're done here. And that would be very much appreciated. But once again, appreciate you guys so much being on here. I am your observant lineman, Uche Nwaneri, and I will catch you all on the next one. Peace.